Hey, what's up, all my mages out there? I'm Din coming at you with another Fairy Tale 100 Years Quest chapter review. This time it's chapter 25, titled Fairy Nail, which begins a series of kind of fillerish chapters for the Fairy Tale 100 Year Quest series as a way of kind of slowing down from the action of the previous few chapters. you know Mashima loves to just insert things that give the anime, when they do adapt things, at least that's what it feels like at time, just give them moments where they can just kind of wind things down, tell some filler stories, and not necessarily catch up with the manga. Because I have that theory in mind because Mashima has, from time to time, actually incorporated things that the anime writers put in as filler material into his actual story. So, obviously, Mashima has a soft spot for anime original content, and that's what I feel this series of filler chapters kind of allow to really happen for the most part. As we see that our team have, are on their way to the continent of Gelatina and end up arriving in the first stop of the train, the town of Tekka. They're trying to go on the train in this town, basically, in order to get to where they need to go. That's where the map showed the first time. They have to go to this one town, get on the train, and they'll get to their next destination. And while Natsu isn't too happy about the fact, especially Wendy, who, after realizing that it's an 8-hour train ride, the Dragon Slayers are none too happy to be going on this little trip. But with all the luggage that Urza has brought with her, she can't really just up and just do whatever she wants. However, once they arrive in the town of Tekka, all of a sudden Urza starts to be accosted by various people who mistake her for some, famous actress, apparently, named Erkis. Urza basically just gets mobbed, only for the real Erkis, who looks like the spitting image of Urza, just suddenly pops up. And she explains to the group that she's with a talent guild called Fairy Nail, which is basically just like an Edolus situation. A lot of people have called it that, where you have all these alternate versions, for the most part, of the Fairy Tale Guild, and it's just really fun to see all the various differences. It's Mashima's way of telling an Elseworld story, which he seems to really love. He really enjoys that doubles of people. It was so nice he decided to do it twice in this Fairy Nail chapter. And honestly, Urza and Erkis are just really similar, but Erkis actually seems to have a little bit of a confidence issue, whereas Urza is a little too overconfident in terms of her acting ability. But we go through the guild, we see, the alternate version of Natsu, Naku. But the funny thing about these alternate versions, they're still on the same world. That's the weird thing. At least with Adolas, it was just like, oh, it's an alternate reality. Boom, boom, bam, there you go. Here it's just like, hey, a continent away, your doppelgangers are just there, living it up as talented people. It's just weird in and of itself. It's just a weird little side chapter, but you have Natsu's doppelganger Naku, who is a really major star, and we end up seeing his manager, who is named Lucia, who he completely just treats like crap. First and foremost, he's all, Naku is just putting down all these roles, and Lucy is just trying her best to convince him, no, you have to do this, blah blah blah. Typical abusive pop star who's full of themselves, and a manager who's just trying to do what's best for the actor in order to keep them in the spotlight. And Natsu and Lucy lament the fact that their doppelgangers have such a violent relationship, but honestly, it kind of, mirrors Natsu and Lucy's own relationship, where Natsu keeps taking advantage of Lucy's, hospitality, with air quotes, because he just keeps raiding her house, eating her food, sleeping in her bed. It's just like, dude, go back to your own house. And then we have a version of Gray whose name is Glenn, who is actually a male stripper, which, parallels Gray's whole habit of stripping. But, Gray, it's an accidental habit. It's because of something that he went through with his training. With Glenn, he's doing that for money, which Gray is just completely not really on board with. And then you have Juvia's doppelganger, Juvina, who is actually a topless dancer, which, immediately Natsu starts to think about, but, Gray's like, no, she's mine. It's mine. And they apparently have this very formal relationship where they talk with each other with dears and darlings, the Juvina and Glenn, the alternate Juvia and Gray. And then we meet the alternate Wendy, who is Wendell, who is this child genius who is able to switch her expressions on a dime. And she's just practicing in this mirror, which is actually pretty incredible, honestly, for an actor to go through all these emotional states in a fraction of a second. That's actually pretty good. And it's, pretty amazing for the most part, but that doesn't really speak to Wendy as a whole. It's just that Wendy always has the reactions of the group. She's more of just there for the cute factor for the most part, and has the always shocked expressions on her face. And when we finally get around to Carla and Happy, we come to find out that, just like in the little group they had going, with the fairy tales, Carla, or Carlotte, is this, teen idol, and she has her pet cat Bappy, which Happy notes the fact that, he's just a cat over here. And we even see Lily, who is also just a cat. Meanwhile, Gajil and Levy are a husband and wife comedy duo, alluding to the fact that, it's if you didn't already know, Levy is obviously pregnant with Gajil's child, but they're not married. Meanwhile, we actually have a married couple comedy duo where, the husband Gazelle, pretends that he's just like, oh, I'm so hungry I could eat iron. It's just like, what are you talking about? That's not possible. With the wife Lizzie. Oh my god, it's just such a weird situation. But the one thing that seems to have completely stuck is the fact that Mira Jane and Lazana's doppelgangers are still just models. Just straight up models. Meanwhile, their brother Elfman is actually a makeup specialist who is very effeminate for the most part. And then there's Loxus's group, the Thunder Tribe, who are a band called the Thunderlords, a really popular rock band. And then you have Kana's doppelganger, who's a leg model, Loki's doppelganger, who is a porn star of all things, which I'm just like, man, Mashiba, you are just going all out with just the various adult humor for the most part. Because all these people like topless dancers, strippers, porn stars, like, dude. And, it relates to Loki schmoozing, but even when he's just like, what's a porn star? Listen, like, no, you don't need to know that. And then Ericus goes onto the fact that she's a stage actress and a very popular one. However, Ericus has this performance coming up where she's supposed to be playing the role of a young maiden in love. However, Ericus has never really been in a situation like that. But this, kind of rolls into the fact that we have Natsu and Lucy's, alternate selves, getting into a bit of a dispute. and he drags her into like the other room for what he calls punishment, and Lucy follows in order to stop this, because it's just like, no, you shouldn't be abusing this young girl, only for Lucy to come out blushing because apparently they were fucking in the other room. They were straight up fucking. And apparently they do that a lot, despite what it seems like they're in a very interesting relationship. And, Lucy's eyes have been sullied by a little bit of imagery. But, Ericus says that that's their form of love, their way of showing love. And Urza says that she'll tutor Ericus on how to understand love because, well, she's experienced love herself. Not to that deep of a level, as I feel that, her and Jalal haven't gotten to that point in their relationship, but she's kind of getting to that point eventually. It was very interesting adult humor. And when the group get ready to end up heading back, finally manage to get on the train, everyone discusses their interesting situation with Fairy Nail and Lucy having her traumatic experience. But Gray kind of thinks about, wonders whether or not Juvia is doing well. And he starts to kind of think about love for the most part. And this is Gray kind of, opening up to the fact that he does actually care very much for Juvia, which is followed on into the next chapter. But, when they actually try to talk to Urza about what she talked about with Ericus, Urza seems a little distant and doesn't really say much of anything. And, as the train sets off and they get to traveling for a little bit, we come to find out that this is not in fact Urza, but Ericus, as Urza had actually switched places with Ericus in order to do the performance for her. And naturally, it ends with Urza getting booed off stage and people demanding their money back, while Urza gets to have her happy little moment of thinking she did a great job as an actress, as usual. So it looks like Ericus's acting career might be on the rocks from here on out, but a nice little simple chapter. I mean, if you stuck around this long listening to me rattle off what actually happens, then good on you, because nothing really important happened. We just got to kind of, see the various relationships that could be, or it's just Mishima just wanting to tell a Elseworld story. He just wanted to have a little fun, and this was it for him. He loves those alternate world stories. So many stories he does are just Elseworld stories of the Fairy Tail crew. He's done that for a good long time. The high school story, the what if they were superhero stories. He loves his what ifs, and this is him indulging in those what ifs. But we did have a nice little segue into the fact that, Gray does very much care for Juvia, but that's something I'll save for the next chapter, as that's already out because I'm just so far behind with these reviews. But, tell me your thoughts on this chapter in the comment section below. Would you like to see more chapters in regards to the Fairy Nail Guild? Did you have fun with this chapter, or do you feel that it was needless fluff and filler that could have just been skipped over as a whole? Or do you enjoy Mashima's little Elseworld stories, alternate retellings of the Fairy Tail Guild and all that? Let me know in the comment section below, and if you like this video, leave me a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike and tell me what I did wrong in the comment section below, so I might better myself for future videos. And subscribe and hit the bell icon, that way you never miss out on another Fairy Tail the 100-Year Quest episode review. And until then, if you want to find me on social media, Google Do's Diz Din. I'm everywhere. And until the next video, just remember that acting takes a lot of practice and the ability to understand criticism. Until next time, bye-bye.